Hello, and welcome to the Monster Painter. This week I'm going to make some terrain out of a dollhouse I found at the thrift store. The specific dollhouse in question is a representation of the palace where Elsa and Anna grew up in the Disney feature film Frozen, and I picked it up nice and cheap at the thrift store. Truthfully, it is less a dollhouse and more of a carrying case, and unsurprisingly, it is full of dolls. Those dolls went on to an uncertain future, except for the Snow G, who went on to change monster fighting history. But this is not the story of the dolls, but of the doll house. So it's a pretty solid building with good proportions and a good scale to be used as 28mm gaming terrain, but it's going to require some work. These hinges really make the thing look like a toy and will have to be removed. The first step in this process will be the inelegant application of force. Crunch! There we go. That did the trick. So for one half of the building, the hinges came off rather easily with the application of a little more force. The hinges on the other half of the building will require a little bit more. Nothing a tool can't solve, and with that, the building is ready to be glued back together. For this purpose, I have broken out a bottle of really strong super glue. Super duper glue, if you will. I will apply it to the seam and the latch mechanism of the toy. The main trick will be to close it up and get it properly aligned, at least as best as I can, before the glue sets. This is going to be a real proper trick. In the next step, I will have to deal with the big holes in one wall that were created by the removal of those pesky hinges. For this purpose, I have gathered a rag, some water, a sculpting tool, and a little blob of millput. Using small bits of the millput, I will fill in the holes and try as best I can to sculpt in the texture in an effort to make the repair look as unnoticeable as possible. It is a tricky, time-consuming process, but well worth it. These are the steps that will really sell this converted old dollhouse as a credible piece of tabletop terrain. Alright, with that done, it's time to slap a nice generous coat of acrylic gesso on this baby, priming it all up and getting it ready for the fun part, painting! And naturally enough, the first step in painting the building is a nice thorough base coat. I am using a craft paint called wrought iron. It's a nice cool dark gray and perfect for this project. Okay then, we are off to the races. I will be starting with a dry brush layer on all the stone and brickwork. I'm going to be using a mixture of Payne's Gray and Titanium White. It's a cool gray color that really conveys the look of stone. And yeah, there's a lot of stone on this building. Next up, yep, you guessed it, another layer of dry brushing with a lighter tone of the same mixture of Payne's Gray and Titanium White. It will bring out the details, and it's my tried and true method for painting stonework. I follow this up with yet another lighter tone layer of dry brushing using my cool stone mixture. I will apply this to the columns and other fancy stonework of the building in order to bring out these details. As well, I'll use a little bit along the corners of the building as an edge highlight. With the walls out of the way, it's time to take on the roof. I will be applying a mid-tone gray mixture to all the roof tile portions of the building. It is a mixture of Mars Black and unbleached titanium. This is a warmer gray with a different tone than the previous mixture of Payne's Gray and Titanium White, and it will help maintain the overall gothic color scheme I'm going for, but differentiate the parts of the building and give it an overall more credible look. And of course, anything worth doing once is worth doing again, just with a lighter tone. So yeah, another lighter layer of that warm gray mixture to the roof of this manor, and we're off to the next step, which is an edge highlight to all the edges and corners of the roof. I will use a still lighter mixture of Mars Black and unbleached titanium for this purpose. It's a time-consuming process, but it is well worth it. It really helps the overall look of the piece when it lands on the tabletop. Now onto the wooden elements of the structure. I will be applying some bronze yellow, a nice warm yellow-brown color, perfect for depicting wood, to all the window frames and I guess the gables or whatever they're called. This will add some color and visual interest to the piece overall and highlight these details, making it, again, more visually interesting. Now, near the top of the building, there are some other wooden elements. Planking, I guess. I want to differentiate these parts from the window frames and other wooden elements, so I will paint them in a slightly different color. I am applying a mixture of bronze yellow and burnt umber for a slightly more red-brown color. This will add more visual interest and, of course, help the piece look more credible. She is starting to get to the finish line, and the next step is to apply a layer of burnt umber, a warm dark brown color, to the building's entrance. I will also add a layer of Mars Black to what I think is a fancy window above that same entrance. I follow this up by applying a dry brush layer of metallic bronze to the entranceway. For some reason, I think these steps are the most fun, and it will give the building a solid and intimidating door. Now it's time to get fancy. I will be adding a dry brush layer over the black of that fancy window above the entrance. It's going to be a mixture of interference blue, sometimes known as color shift or shimmer paint or whatever depending on the brand, and a tiny amount of Mars Black. This will give the mixture a little more opacity, and it amps up that opalescence quality. A mixture like this applied to a dark base has quite an effect, and while it's definitely a stylization, I think it is very effective at conveying the look of a fancy window. I will then take the same mixture and add some water, creating a wash. I will apply the wash to all the windows of the building. It is very important to apply this wash and allow it to dry while laying flat. The mica pigments in the interference paint are heavy and will precipitate down in the wash. In this case, it will convey that stylized glass look, but it will maintain the details of the windows in one simple, easy step. Now on to the penultimate step. I will just add a little bit of metallic gold to the lighting fixture above the entrance. That'll make the detail pop a bit, and the project is nearly finished off. And the final step is a simple wash of ivory black along the base of the piece in order to differentiate the base from the building. And now let's take a look at our final product. And I have to say I'm pretty pleased with the final result. The scale is very good for 28 millimeters, as our Hero Quest elf is demonstrating. It painted up well and looks like a convincing manor house, gothic enough for the local vampire to live in, but just as importantly, it no longer cries out, "Frozen, frozen, frozen!" And it'll be suitable for most tabletops, but will it fit into my favorite game, Frostgrave? Contrary to popular belief, the dreaded ice storm that destroyed Old Felstead did not destroy every building. While the incredible destructive power of the ice magic did leave many structures in utter ruin, the wild nature magic of this conflagration resulted in some of the buildings being perfectly preserved. These can be the most dangerous and lucrative buildings in all of the frozen city. Yeah, now let's look at it in its natural habitat. Okay, not exactly its natural habitat, but it does fit in very well with the other buildings in my collection. So I have to declare this project a definite success. Just a quick reminder, leave a comment in the comment section below for your chance to win this fabulous Monster Painter t-shirt. I think it's a woman's large, I'm not 100% sure. Or, optionally, you could win a wonderful Monster Painter Math Rock bag. It's your choice. Just leave that comment in the comment section below, and then on January 17th, Tuesday, January 17th, I will draw a name from all the people who have commented last week, this week, next week, and that person will win the fabulous swag. So get commenting. Now on to the part you've all been waiting for. This week's monster fight. Our first contender is a dread chaos warrior in shiny blue armor, and he will be facing a red wizard from Hero Quest's ugly cousin Dragonstrike. Who will win? Let's let the dice decide. The dice have spoken. Now let's watch the fun play out.
You shall not pass. Oh god, that's really original, buddy. Oh, and your aim's terrible too, huh? Took your aim easy.
I guess. Next week on the Monster Painter, I upgrade my Frostgrave warband. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and ring the bell. Ring the bell.
You are watching Les the Monster Painter.